Some of you might be very interested in a Visual Studio Code plugin that you can add to Visual Studio, which basically lets you do all of your development in Visual Studio Code, which most of the industry out there uses nowadays for all kinds of development. If you're interested in this, here's a quick demo. So on the right-hand side, I have Visual Studio Code open. On the left-hand side, I have my browser open with just a little part of the screen showing there. I already added it's a plugin in Visual Studio Code you have to add. So you would go to the plugins and basically you would search for Visual Studio Code. So I did that already. I already connected it to my ServiceNow instance, which you would do by clicking Create Project, and then you'd enter your instance up there, and then it would ask you for your credentials. So that part's already done. I'll show you a quick demo here. So if I add something in Visual Studio Code, just like an info statement, this is from VS Code, and then I just simply click Sync Project. You'll notice you had to watch pretty quick, but all of a sudden that line automatically got added up on the server because it did a synchronization. Now, if I do from the server, so on the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to do GS info. This is from the server. And then I save that. And I come back to Visual Studio Code. I can do another sync project, and you'll watch all of a sudden another line shows up. So I synchronize the changes on the server. Now, if I make a change in both, so let's just do this one. So I'll get rid of both lines on the server as well as Visual Studio Code just to create a conflict here. So GS info from server, and then I'll say in VS Code GS info from VS Code. And I'm going to save them both. I'm going to save the server first, and then from my VS Code, I'm going to do sync project. Now it's going to come up with a conflicting differences, which is just like the whole Git process, if some of you are familiar. I can click the file and I can say open the diff. I can see that there's where the conflict is, and maybe I want to keep both lines. So I would just copy the before and make the after the way I want to look, and then I would close that and I'll say mark as resolved. And there's no more conflict, so now I'll just do a sync and watch the left side. So now you can see that I basically had a conflict and I resolved it, and I kept both the server as well as my local. There's other really cool things here too, like just var gr equals, and now I have access with the plugin to all kinds of, for example, glide record. It's got the code completion built in, so I can hover over glide record or glide record. I can basically show the help for these things and then the overloaded methods and stuff like that. Some really cool stuff. So if you use VS Code, I would definitely recommend adding the plugin. It does require version New York or higher. It also requires a certain, the latest version, fairly latest version of VS Code. You do have to have Node.js set up too, but literally it could take you just a couple minutes and you actually have this plugin working and automatically synchronize to ServiceNow. So I think this is great.